We've seen over the last several days, particularly in the United States, rising tensions with China, and that's a direct result of these spy balloons. Do you believe that China is a threat to NATO?
We don't see China as an enemy or any imminent threat, but we assess that the rise of China's growing economic and military power, is a challenge to our security, to our interests, to our values, and that's the reason why we are stepping up our cooperation with our partners in the Asia-Pacific, countries like Japan, South Korea, New Zealand and Australia. And we also need to understand that security is not regional, security is global. What happens in Europe, in Ukraine, matters for Asia, and what happens in Asia matters for Europe. And Beijing is watching closely what's going on in Ukraine, and if Putin wins there, of course that will impact their decisions on how to behave in Asia.
Speaking of that behavior, were you surprised that they launched spy balloons at the United States?
Well, the reality is that this is part of a pattern we have seen where China has stepped up their intelligence activities over many years using many different platforms, cyber, satellites and other types of platforms to spy on and to gather intelligence from NATO allied countries, both in North America but also in Europe. So the balloons are just one of many platforms to try to collect intelligence.
Do you anticipate at some point there would have to be a NATO-led response?
Well, NATO allies are already working closely together to protect their airspace and also to protect our cyber networks, to protect our infrastructure. So this is part of what NATO does every day, and that is to, for instance, have air policing, to have surveillance and presence, also protecting our airspace.